and what chunking is. Okay. Put that there. Okay, so information giving, the ability to provide information and something by the patient. Put your hand up if you think, if you were here on Monday last week, you've probably got a good idea for this. If you weren't, maybe it might be a bit tricky. Does anyone know? Put your hand up if you think you could tell me what goes in that gap. The ability to provide information and something by the patient.
For all, this question is for the all.
For anybody, yeah.
Yes, and understand by the patient.
Priyangi, let's try Priyangi. Are you there? Yeah, Priyangi?
Maybe check understanding.
Answers, no?
Getting information by the patient.
Just Priyangi.
Yeah.
Go on, Priyangi.
Yes. The ability to provide information and getting by the patient, getting information by the patient.
Well, no, that would be information gathering, wouldn't it?
Gathering, yeah.
If you remember last week, I said this, information gathering is the ability to get information from the patient and demonstrate to the examiner that you understand it. That's information gathering. So Priyangi, what would information giving be?
Sorry?
What would information giving be if information gathering is getting information and demonstrating that you understand it? It's almost the opposite. It's almost the opposite. So in information gathering, I take information from the patient and I need to demonstrate to the examiner that I understand it. So that means clarifying, echoing, summarizing. Yeah, okay, I'm showing the examiner that I understand it. I need to show that the patient understands my information. Okay, so we put in here and demonstrate that it's understood by the patient. That's it. That's what I have to do. Okay, Priyangi. All right. So remember what I said. This is patient-centered. It doesn't matter. Thank you, Priyangi. It doesn't matter how good I think I am at explaining things. It doesn't matter how much knowledge I have. Oh, I know everything about meningitis. It's not about that. It's about giving an explanation, checking that they understand it, and then moving on. Even if you think that you've just explained meningitis perfectly, just done an amazing job, you can't move on until you've demonstrated that it's understood by the patient. And there's a reason for that. Okay. One, what happens if you give someone some instructions and they don't understand the instructions properly? Marwa, are you there?
Yeah.
What if I tell you that you need to take this medication, you need to take one tablet every 24 hours, but you didn't understand it and you think it's 3 tablets?
Yeah, I will take it wrong and
Yeah.
put myself in danger.
But what could be the outcome for the patient if the patient takes 3 times the dosage?
Poisoning.
Say that again.
Poisoning or life.
Poisoning, yeah, or death.
Yeah.
I'm being very extreme there. But if patients don't understand the information you're giving them, the outcomes could be extreme. All right. And then there's a second reason which you might think is more important. I don't know. It depends the way your brain works. Marwa, how busy are nurses and doctors?
Very busy.
Yeah. Do you want to explain things twice?
No, of course not.
You don't, do you? You don't want to have to come back to this patient in half an hour and explain it again.
Yeah.
or for the patient to then give you a call. How many tablets was it? Okay. You want it to all be understood first time so they can go away from this consultation with the right information, do everything correctly. All right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So information giving, providing information, demonstrating that it's understood. Any questions at the moment about this? No? Okay, that's a good basis. Chunking. Chunking. This is a word that we really need to think about. So let's go for Sonia. Are you there, Sonia?
Yes.
Hi, Sonia. What's chunking?
It's like dividing,
Hmm. Okay, what are you dividing?
like when we ask them like a question. No?
Tell me, what do I need to divide if I'm speaking to a patient?
Mm,
Shall we do an example?
okay.
Let's do an example. Okay, so I'm going to tell you now about changing the strings on a guitar. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes when you're playing the guitar, you're playing and it doesn't sound very good. So you need to change the strings on your guitar. And that means you have to go and get a fork or a spoon. I prefer a fork. Some people use a spoon. You detune at the machine heads, and you can do all of them together, or you can do them one by one. It's up to you. And then once you get to a certain point, you can get the fork or the spoon. As I say, I like a fork. Get that fork underneath, and you can pull the peg out. And when you've pulled the peg out, you can get the string out. And then get that string out, get it out, make sure that it's loose enough. And you can change the strings. You can change the strings anytime you like. And then you do that for each of the 6 strings. And then there's nothing. I'll clean the fretboard at this stage, generally. And then I get some new strings, tighten it all up, tighten those machine heads, make sure that the pegs are in properly, and then tune it up.
Mm.
Can you change guitar strings now? Would you feel comfortable to change my guitar strings?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
If you show me, then I think I can do.
But I just know, but with my explanations that I just gave you, is that good enough for you to go?
No.
Why not? What was wrong with it?
Like I can forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of information or a little bit of information?
Lot of information.
Was it well organized?
No.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, it went in a sequence, but there were a few bits where I went a little bit out of order. But
Yeah.
the main problem there was it was too much, wasn't it?
Mm.
Also, I used some phrases: machine head,
Yeah.
peg,
Mm.
fretboard. Do you know what those mean?
No.
No. So I was using jargon, I was using technical language.
Yeah.
And did you notice that I didn't ask you any questions?
Yes. You didn't ask me.
I didn't ask at the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't ask at the end. So can you play the guitar, Sonia?
No, I can't play the
Oh, you
guitar.
can't, okay. That would have been a really good question at the beginning, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you play the guitar, you can probably change strings. So
Yeah.
if you can change strings, I don't need to go and explain everything to you. So I didn't check at the beginning. I didn't stop anywhere in the middle, and I didn't ask at the end. So that was a bad explanation. I think everybody knows that was a bad explanation.
Yeah.
I don't do any chunking. Okay, so chunking is dividing complicated information into smaller, easy to understand chunks. That's it. Would you agree with me on that, Sonia?
Yeah.
It's good to do this. Now, I don't just do this when I'm giving information. I do this when I'm gathering information. I
Mm.
chunk that as well. So if there are 3 things I need to learn about the patient in the gathering tasks, I'll ask the first one, discuss it, ask the second one, discuss it.
Because
Same with the third one as well. And that's what I do when I'm explaining things. Okay, so today I could just go through all of these indicators. Oops. I could go through all of those indicators really, really fast and not check anything. But I don't want to do that. I want to break it down into sections so people can understand it. Okay, so thanks, Sonia. Okay. Okay, so chunking. It's something that we need to be able to do. It's something that people don't always do. I think it sometimes feels a bit unnatural to people. Remember what I said earlier. You don't have to finish the task. So I think what happens sometimes is that people get a long explanation or some advice or suggestions or describing how a procedure works or something like that. And they rush through it quickly because they want to finish the task. They don't want to take time talking about each bit, but don't do that. We're aiming for 5 good, high quality minutes. So let's go for Christina. Just tell me again, what kind of things might I need to explain or give information about?
I don't understand question.
So what do I need to provide information about in OET?
What information? I
Yeah.
sorry, I don't know.
Have you can do OET speaking, you've done it. So what kind
Yeah.
of things am I expected to explain or provide information about?
Yeah. About treatment, side effects,
Yeah.
about condition.
Treatments, side effects, yeah, it could be any of these, yeah. The condition itself, yeah, okay. Anything else?
Treatment,
Advice?
procedure, maybe.
Procedures,
Advice.
yeah, procedures. I suppose they come under treatment, I guess, but not always. Yeah, advice, suggestions,
Recommendation.
recommendations. I guess they're all the same, aren't they? Yeah. And they're not all the same, are they? Because treatment, condition, that's going to be mainly information, isn't it? So you're mainly explaining in this. Treatment, you'll be explaining. Okay. But you'll also be trying to find out how does that sound, etc. Advice, suggestions, recommendations. You're not just explaining something. You need to also check, can you do these things? So we're not just doing simple explanations. Sometimes we're giving information about other things and asking for them to be involved in the discussion of it. Okay. So I like to think of this as being a two-way thing. It's not just you sitting there with a cue card. Here's all of my information. Now tell me what you think. It's supposed to be a conversation. Let's look at an example. Let me get this onto one page and you just tell me what you think. I haven't got number 5. Okay, so have a look at that. And I want you to just make a note on your paper. What's good about it? Don't tell me yet. And then put your hand up if you'd like to tell me if you think anything is good about it. I'll put 1 minute on the clock. Just put your hand up if you'd like to tell me something that you think is good in this. Thanks, Helen. Give me 10 seconds. Okay. Helen,
Yeah.
what's good?
It's good that it has some chunking
Yeah, okay, so chunking's definitely been used. This
and
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay.
and asking the patient, is it clear? Is it okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
giving some break and asking if the patient understood that or not.
well, I would say, Helen, something that people often don't understand is the difference between these two questions. Because this one here is about understanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this one's not. What's that one about?
About to doing the injections. Are you okay with that? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just, do you understand that you have to do injections? No one likes doing injections, do they? It's a common thing that people don't like. Also, it's a new form of medication for this person to be taking, and it's something novel. Do you think you can manage that? Is it okay? You know, how do you feel about it? So I agree with you. I think that the chunking's good. We've got a number of different places where we've broken it down, and then we've got these questions that help us check it. Okay, good. That's great. Okay, let's go for Carlos. What else do you see?
Um, always asking for feedback of the patient.
Yeah, so the way I think about it, I know it sounds a bit strange, is when I say something that's got information in it, I think I have to touch the patient like that with my next question. What do you think? Do you understand? Is that okay? There's always something after I finish speaking, which means that I pass it back over to them. So that's good. Yeah. Is there anything else there, Carlos, you think?
I think it's okay.
Anything else though that you think is good about it?
It's very clear and concise.
Yeah. The language is very clear, isn't it? It's quite simple. Notice this bit here. It changes insulin production. Did I have to say this? I didn't have to, did I? But I decided I'll just put a little explanation about what insulin is. Because if you've never heard of it, you might not know, or maybe you've heard the word insulin, but you don't know what it does. This is good. Okay, so it's a very basic explanation. And I've decided that insulin might be a technical word that they don't understand. So I'll just provide a little breakdown of that for them as well. So this is when earlier on when I was explaining to Sonia about how to change strings on a guitar, I used machine head, peg, fretboard. I didn't explain what any of them were. So I think this is a nice way to deal with some technical language here as well. What about providing structure? What about that? That's down at the bottom here. We don't do information giving or information gathering without providing structure. We're always doing it. I've probably explained before, but I think building relationships, understanding and incorporating patient perspective, and providing structure, they are foundational skills in this. You're always doing those. Okay, you don't stop doing those because you're doing information giving. Okay, information giving and information gathering, they're like the show tasks. Okay, but when you're doing them, you have to have a good relationship. You have to keep your ears out for cues for any problems and illicit issues, and you have to provide structure. Okay, and then starting and ending, checking initial ideas, and also a bit more. Is that okay if we move on? So something, a misconception that people have about information giving is that it's just one way. It's just me explaining. It's not. I'm checking. All right. I use the chunking. Chunking is when we break down into easy to understand chunks, but the information is prefaced with initial checking. Okay, so that means it comes first. and followed by understanding or encouraging reactions. All right, we don't just chunk it. We've got to understand that when we give a piece of information, we check before, and then every time we do a little chunk, we check and understand what it means. So that's what chunking is. Chunking is a combination of the indicators that prove that you provide information well. And that's what these are. Okay, these are the indicators in this box. Okay, so we're going to talk about these indicators, and then I'll give people a chance to do a little bit of practice. Okay, so establishing what the patient already knows. Let's do that one first. What do we think? Give me some suggestions, guys. Type it in the chat box. I'd love to see some questions. What questions can you ask at the beginning? Let's imagine it is meningitis. Okay, meningitis. Type a question for me in the chat box, establishing what the patient already knows. There are loads of ways of doing it. We'll just get some useful language. Do you have any idea about? Okay, yeah. Have you heard, okay, about something before? Yeah, I like these. These are good. Now, do you heard? That doesn't work. Okay. So there are going to be some forms here that are not good. What do you know about? I like that. This is a good question. Have you even heard? I wouldn't do that. Okay, I've got 2 blocks here. Can you please tell me what you know about? I like that. Okay, that's a good one. How much do you know about? Yeah. Okay, we don't need to have 100 different ways of doing it. This is good enough. Okay, so what else have we got here? We got any others? How much you know? Okay, so I think that's good. Okay, these ones I'm happy with. Okay, now obviously there are loads and loads of variations. All of these are very nice. This doesn't work. Okay, do you heard about? We've got problems there with the grammar. Okay, so it should be have you heard about? But I don't like that. I prefer it like this with before at the end. Okay, this one's a strange one. Was it Christina? Have you even heard about? Yeah, I think it was. When you do that there, what you're doing is you're suggesting that they don't know anything. So let's say that you're a doctor talking to another doctor, and you're talking to them about something very specific to do with meningitis. And oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. So it's ever. Thank you. Yeah, that does work. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Christina. I won't go through that. Have you ever heard about would be okay. Yeah. Yeah. I won't go into that then. So those questions are good. And you don't have to do it before every piece of information you give someone. But when you're introducing a new topic, okay, a new explanation. Explantation, that's a completely different word. Yeah, so when you're introducing a new explanation or a new topic, it could be a new set of information. These are good phrases. You don't want to waste your time. If somebody's had diabetes for 10 years, don't explain to them what insulin is. Okay, so I think that's easy. Pausing periodically is a good one. Okay, so don't rush in. Okay. Oh, yeah. Don't rush when you're explaining things. Okay, you can pause. You can wait. Now, we did in the nurses last week, we were doing some speaking. And it was really interesting because at one point, this person said, I'm waiting for them to tell me more. That was during information gathering. So for instance, let's do it now. Let's go with Catalina, are you there? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, okay. So let's listen to the difference between pausing with information gathering and pausing with information giving. So I'm going to ask you some questions, Catalina, all right?
Okay.
Just give me some information. So you said that you've been having headaches recently. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
How often do you have them?
My headache started 2 days ago. And it's very, very awful now.
Are they painful?
Yeah, it's painful. And I have cough and my left ear.
Let's stop there. Am I helping you?
No.
I'm not helping you, am I?
Yeah.
I'm just leaving you
And
on your
I'm
own.
really, really I have a cough now.
Yeah. So I'm not. So pausing when people give you information is not good. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they're on their own and they just have to. Okay. But pausing when I'm giving information could be a good idea. So for instance, so Catalina, I'm going to make a few suggestions about what we can do regarding your knee. Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I would say is, look, I know it's painful now, but I think it'd be a very, very good idea for you to make sure that you don't stay in a sitting position for more than 30 minutes.
But I stay in the same position more.
Okay. So I paused there. I could have rushed straight in and said, is that okay? Do you think you can manage it? But I didn't. I paused, and Catalina decided that she wanted to say something back. So I don't think it's a very, very big part of OET speaking. But sometimes you can take a little step back and allow the patient to swallow the information, digest it, and then say what they think. Especially if earlier Catalina's been saying, I don't like doing exercise. My knee's really, really painful. If I know that she's got a bit of a problem with what I'm going to suggest, then I might just wait for a moment and allow her to do it. Now, if the gap starts to get too big and Catalina doesn't say anything to me, then okay, well, I'll jump in and say, well, how does that sound? And I'll say it. But it's a good idea sometimes, you know, if you suspect that a patient might not be willing to do what you suggest, then you can wait for them to respond. Okay. Now, unfortunately, there's no language you can give because it's the absence of language.
Usual formal structure for these types of classes.
Okay, so here I am with Edwin. Hi, Edwin.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, nice to see you. Okay, so Edwin, you are an OET hero, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, super. So where do you live?